The Fargo real estate market is at a super unique place right now. With high interest rates and there actually being more houses for sale than there is buyers looking in the summer months, it's something that this Fargo-Moorhead real estate market has not seen in a long time. But what is this market actually doing? What's actually happening? And how can you as buyer or seller take advantage of this market here in Fargo-Moorhead, even with high interest rates, even with a lot of other people trying to sell their house or trying to buy a house in competition, and even some places where there's no competition? How can you take advantage? In this video, I'm breaking down all the market stats as we just completed the month of June. We're halfway through the year of 2025. Where does the market currently stand? If you can remember my last video I made about the market, that it was kind of just going steady. It was a little bit more houses on the market, but where are we at right now? There's a lot of news, of course, with the interest rates, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and of course with just the economic state of the world where we're at. There's just a lot of questions about what's going to happen, but what do the numbers actually say? That's what we're going to be breaking down in today's video. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sykora, your Fargo real estate agent, and if you're curious about what buying or selling a home looks like for you and for your situation right now, you can find all my contact information in the description below, and I'd be happy to help you. So let's jump right into the market right now here in Fargo, North Dakota. First up, we got to talk about interest rates. This is for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. We're at about 6.77 for Bell Bank here in Fargo, one of the major banks. What does this number mean? This number is really relevant right now for a couple reasons. One being, of course, a couple years ago, the interest rates were between 2 and 3%. So this is almost 2 times as high as those interest rates. And another thing, and another major factor, is everybody is predicting these interest rates to go down. Now here's the thing. These interest rates, yep, they're at 6, almost 7. You know, they've been hovering, as you can look on this graph, ever since, January. They've been between 6.6 and over 7. People have been saying these interest rates are going to be going down for years. But the thing is, yes, we can predict the interest rates are going to go down. Yes, people can think the interest rates are going to go down. But realistically, we do not know what's going to happen with interest rates. Yes, they may be on a downward trend. Yes, we may think they're going down. Yes, they might go down. But we don't know that. That's the thing. So I think this scares a lot of people, the fact that they think if they buy right now, they're going to get a bad deal because then 3 years down the road, the interest rates are going to get below 4 or 5. But that's not really the case. One thing, you can always refinance. But another thing is, a lot of people, I think, are stuck, trapped in the mindset of having that 2 or 3% interest rate, which I don't ever think we're going to get back to. Now, I'm not a lender. I don't know the details and the specifics, but that's where my stance with it is. I think a lot of people are scared. I mean, obviously a 6.7% interest rate, it's not ideal, but it's something that needs to go through to be able to buy a house, something that you're just going to have to deal with. And if maybe they do get down, you can always refinance. Now, the thing is, you have to pay closing costs when you refinance, which is around 3% of a loan. But there's a lot of different things to consider with this. And this is a big part of why the real estate market is where it's at, with more homes not being sold, is because of the interest rates and because of the affordability of everything. Of course, everything's going up in prices, as it always does. Seems like everything's really high right now. This is where the interest rates plays a big role. And I think it is honestly a scare factor for a lot of people. But if the numbers make sense for you, if you need to move, there's people that need to move no matter if the interest rates are 20%. If it makes sense for you and you need to move, move. You don't want to be waiting for the interest rates to drop, because the realistic thing is you don't know if they're ever going to drop. Or if they drop in 5 years, think of all the equity you could have. Now, of course, everybody says, oh, of course you're a realtor, of course you're selling everybody to buy right now. That's not what I'm saying. Buy right now if it makes sense for you. And as you'll see later in this video, it might actually be better for buyers right now than it is for sellers here in the Fargo-Moorhead market. So just do what you want to do when buying or selling a home, and make sure the numbers make sense. And of course, if you are in a house right now and you're thinking of moving up to something bigger and you have a 2 or 3% interest rate, it's something you're going to have to think about. Is it worth you moving up to get rid of that interest rate? Some situations, it's honestly not worth it because you don't need to move. But other situations, it is worth it because you need more space for your family or for your living situation or whatever it is, where it does make sense, even though the interest rate is going to essentially double from 3% to 6, so almost 7%. So this is the big thing with interest rates. Obviously, it's not a cut and clear answer. I didn't give you a cut and clear answer on what you should do, nor do I have one, nor do I know what's going to happen with interest rates. But what I do know is The real estate market, it's constantly shifting. There's constantly things changing, and you just need to be able to move and move with confidence when you're ready to move, not when the world says or the world thinks you're ready to move. It's all dependent on your own situation. Now that I got my interest rate sermon out of the way, we can talk about the market stats for the real estate market. We can look at new listings first in Fargo, North Dakota. It's down, 1%, so not really a huge difference. 177 new listings on the market during the month of June here in Fargo. Now, of course, this is the number we always look at of how many sellers are moving, because sellers most of the time are buying too, unless it's an investment property. We can look at the homes for sale, which is up 17%. Now, a couple reasons this is important. So if there's less listings coming on the market or the same number of listings coming on the market the previous month, but the total homes for sale on the market goes up by almost 20%, what does that tell you? That shows that there's more houses available than there is buyers actually looking, and there's more houses coming on the market than there is buyers actually buying. Because if these numbers were both symmetrical, the same number of houses coming on the market as the same number of buyers, these numbers would do the same thing. This one would be pretty much the same as last month, but it's not. It's up 20%. So 437 for total number of homes for sale, and 177 came on the market as new listings. So there's more houses coming on the market. When we can look at the pending sales, this is the houses that are selling, 128. So it stayed the same. So if the number of pending sales stayed the same, the number of new listings stayed relatively the same, but the number of homes for sale took a major jump of almost 20%, there's not that many other buyers looking right now. Now, reasons for this being, it's the summer. People want to go to the lake. People want to enjoy their summer. People want to, right now it's the 4th of July week. People want to enjoy the 4th of July week. People are scared of interest rates. Like I talked about in this beginning of this video for like 10 minutes. Interest rates play a major factor in this, but we can look. There's a lot more opportunity for buyers right now than there has been in a long time in Fargo. Because as you've seen my previous market videos, or maybe you've been looking for a house, I just think of my first time home buyers I've worked with here recently in the last couple of months. A lot of multiple offer situations, a lot of paying over what the property is priced at market value, a lot of escalation clauses, a lot of competing offer situations. Now, is this still going to happen? It depends on the property. It always depends on the property and depends on the situation. But there's a lot more opportunity for buyers right now that I think can sometimes be overlooked because of how the real estate market here in Fargo is with the low inventory. So we can look at the number of pending sales, which we already talked about. Number of closed sales, again, up slightly. So closed sales stay the same, pending sales stay the same, new listings on the market stay the same, but the total number of homes for sale goes up. There's more houses available. There's more houses available right now in Fargo than there has been in a couple years. If we can see that graph right here, not as high as it was last, like December, it was really high, but we can look how high this number is compared to 2022, 2023, 2024. In 2025 in June, it's almost over 4 months of inventory. Now we had one spike over 4 last December, but other than that, it has hardly even touched 4, hardly even touched 3 before 2024. So there's more houses available right now, which again, like I said, is unheard of for Fargo. There's usually the opposite. There's usually less houses available. When this number is at 4, it's at 5, it's at 6, that's when it starts to shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. Because what this number is let's say 0 houses came on the market starting now until they all sell. It would take 4 months for all the houses on the market to sell. That's how this number is determined. So between like 1 and 3, 3.5, 1 to 4, it's a seller's market because there's less houses available and people have to, go after the ones that come out. Compared to like 4 to 6 to 7, up there, that's a buyer's market because there's more houses than buyers are looking in the market. These two graphs are another really important thing to see. What is the competition like if you're buying a home, and if you're selling a home, what's the action like on my listing? Am I also a good indicator of your pricing? If you're overpriced, you're not going to get as many showings if you're priced at market value or if you're priced where you need to be. So the average shows to contract. So let's say you put a property on the market, it would take about 10 to 11 showings to get a contract on your home, to get it under contract. Again, this is one of those numbers that varies a ton. As you can see, it's constantly going up and down. because it's all dependent on the type of property. There's some properties that will sell with 5, 6 offers first couple showings, no matter what time of year it is, no matter what the interest rates are, just because they're that hot of a property. Other properties, they're just so unique, you're not going to get that many showings in the first place, and it's kind of, you just got to get what you can get. So this number varies a lot, but it's good to look at the average of what Fargo is at right now. So about 10 to 11 showings to get a house under contract. So again, we can look at this number and the next one, 3.5 showings per listing. So this is per a month, and this is also spread out to all the houses on the market. So you got to think 3.5 showings, it's going to take longer for you to sell your house because that's not even close to 10 or 11. So it's going to take you 2.5 months, 3 months to sell a house if you price it correctly. Now, if you price it high, you're not going to get as many showings. It's going to take you longer because you need to stir up that buyer activity. That's why it's so important to have a good pricing strategy when you do list your home on the real estate market here in Fargo, because there is other competition and houses aren't selling as quick as they did during COVID. There's not 10 offers on houses. Houses that are priced correctly, that have good marketing, are selling, but otherwise houses aren't selling. So you need to make sure you take the proper strategy to sell a house correctly here in Fargo, North Dakota. So this was a little breakdown of the market, where we're at right now here in Fargo. If you have any more questions on the real estate market, or if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, you want to see what the market's like for your specific property or your specific needs, you can reach me. I'm Sykora. All my contact information is in the description below.